I have campaigned against HS2 up and down the line since 2010. Not on the basis that I'm against railways, far from it. We need a lot more railways. But it always seemed to me the original cost of £32 billion was, shall we say, optimistic at best. Well, the news we get today is that the 18-mile link that goes up from Birmingham up through Staffordshire that would link up the high-speed railway to much of the north of England, that's delayed by another 4 years. But think about this. The actual HS2 project, which was due to be completed in 2033, we're now being told it'll be the mid or late 2030s. So therefore, this extension link is going to be 2040 or later. I'm joined by freelance journalist and author Ross Clark. Welcome back on the show, Ross. Yeah. We've touched on this before. You've studied this from the start. It just gets worse and worse and worse. It
does, yeah. I mean, there's two aspects to it. Firstly, it's misconceived. It's over-designed. You don't need a 225-mile railway to go 120 miles to Birmingham. That's ridiculous. It bypasses so many of the places it should be visiting. That's the one side of it, the sort of bad design, bad conception. The other is the execution and the way the costs just keep on rising. And there doesn't seem to be any obvious one cause for this. It's just a total lack of cost control at every stage of the project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in the 15 months I've been in Parliament, there's been one debate on this, which I took part in. I just said, cut. When we'd reached 7 billion, I said, stop. And we've now apparently spent 40 billion. And I still would say stop, because what is this going to cost in the end?
Well, nobody knows, isn't it? I mean, the latest idea is going to cost another 40 billion. Now, the original cost, as we're talking, the original estimate in 2011 was 32 billion. And for that, we were going to get this Y-shaped network to Leeds and in Manchester. Yeah. Now we're just going to get this truncated bit to Birmingham for 80 billion. And do you know what? The trains are actually going to, if you beyond Manchester up to Glasgow, the trains are going to be slower than they are now because they're not going to be the tilting trains. At the moment, we have these tilting trains which go faster.
It's slower.
In southern Scotland. So you're going to Glasgow, it's going to be slower. And the capacity is going to fall. Compared with now, we've got these big trains every 20 minutes going. And once HS2 is open, if it's ever open, so the trains will be actually shorter. So.
I mean, I'm accused of wanting to waste 40 billion that we've invested already. But I can't see what else we can do. What would you, if you were in charge, Ross, right now, what would you do?
If I were dropped in now, I would say I'd probably have to go ahead with it. I think to throw away £40 billion of investment would just be so ridiculous, But, what do? You haul the guys who are running it into the...
I just don't... Kwasi,
Boris... someone else to run it.
Cameron nearly dropped this, yeah?
He nearly dropped it.
But he didn't.
2012.
And look, I agree with you. You said two things. One, the design, and two, you mentioned the execution. I think the design was a fair design. I was on the committee when they said 32 billion. I was on the committee. And the committee was a cross-party House of Commons committee, Labour and Tory and others. And we thought it was a good idea. But we thought it was a good idea because 32 billion seemed like a good price. And then within almost months, that 32 billion figure, 32 billion, escalated.
And just remind viewers, the 32 billion wasn't just to Birmingham.
No,
the 32 billion was, as Ross said, to Manchester, up towards Leeds.
So my recollection was that it was the first bit of it. Okay. But whatever it was, it's gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And like anything in life, there are certain things that you pay good money for, but at a certain level, you're not going to spend £10,000 on a holiday.
And here we are
to Marbella.
Morris, Labour have inherited a disaster. They're determined to continue with it. From the looks of what we're being told now, it's getting worse and worse and worse. What do we do?
Yeah. So first of all, it's absolutely vital that we have a future that is railway. I think rail travel is the future. I think it's the most modern, it's the most beautiful form of transport. However, what was just said is really interesting. It was misconceived from the outset. The execution has been weak and it reduces capacity. So basically the classic heist is always, they say when they're doing a con, You've put in already. You don't want to lose the money you've put in already.
Well, this is the argument.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no government in the world that's going to walk away from 40 billion. Or we spent
I'll
40
tell you,
billion, we're going to get nothing from it.
Kwasi, let's have a government right now that does that. When you're in a hole, stop digging.
Yeah.
What I see, and I've taken is that there's extensive waste of money has gone into this. We're pouring money into it even as it's idle. Stop it, and let's have a really, and I'd love you to be involved on it, a really serious discussion about the future of rail. And then we'll see what we can use of this in terms of... Because
my thought on this,
West-East is also vital.
We could spend a fraction of this to almost undo the beaching.
Exactly.
And provide rail travel for millions.
No, anti-beaching. Let's
I
get
don't know.
that going.
Ross, I mean, when you go to France, they're enormously proud of their TGV.
Yeah.
And suddenly Paris, Marseille was 6 hours, now it's 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I've travelled extensively around France on it. How can they do this and we can't?
Well, it's extraordinary, isn't it? That £32 billion figure, the one that Kwasi thought was OK, that already was about 3 times price per mile as the French had built the Paris to Strasbourg line. Yeah,
even then,
that was a while back. I mean,
no, it was newly completed at that stage, and that was
grim. It's looking grim, Kwasi.
Yeah.
So you're saying that we accepted something that was 3 times more expensive than TGV?
I mean, if somebody presented it, if I'd been in government at the time, somebody presented me with that scheme, I said, this is fantastic, high-speed trains, I love them.
But
come back and go away and come back and how you can do it half
more
the price.
sparsely populated. You know that those sorts of projects there cost a lot less. We've got much more densely populated country.
I don't
But they can see
It's true. It's part of the cost. Part of the cost difference. Not all of it, but part of it is because of that.
They conceived the line better because they didn't tunnel under Paris. They used the existing lines to get to the outskirts of Paris.
And they weren't stopped by bats.
They weren't. Then have £100 billion.
Ross, you were saying earlier, we were talking about the early days of railway.
Yes, yeah,
just tell us what we were capable of a few years ago.
Do you know guess how long it took Robert Stephenson to build the original London to Birmingham line?
Go on.
4 years.